This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. In a few hours, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis will address the nation on the government's plans moving forward as COVID-19 cases continue to surge. JCN's Laurencia Smith took to the busy streets of the capital to get the view of the public.
There is much anticipation surrounding what Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis will say tonight in his national address as the country is seeing a surge in COVID-19 cases. JCN News team got the public's reaction to the increase in COVID-19 cases and what they think the Prime Minister will say in his address. One question proposed to Bahamians is that looming question if they are for or against another lockdown. Kelly Nixon notes that the writing is on the wall on what the competent authority will say, and she was firm in her position that she's against another lockdown.
And we don't need to start over again. We need to be moving forward. We just need to find a way to be able to, manage ourselves and be more responsible with regards to our actions, with regards to our, congregating and, taking the necessary precautions in order to avoid the necessity of being locked down. So I don't think that would be a good solution. Inevitably, he's going to extend the emergency order because I guess the increase in numbers and of course the capacity of hospitals not being able to accommodate the amount of persons who are needing care. So I guess he's going to extend the emergency order.
The country has been under a state of emergency for the last 17 months, during which time COVID-19 restrictions have been tightened and loosened. Louis Simonet says it's hard to estimate exactly what the Prime Minister will say, but could imagine that he's going to come with some very strict regulations.
We have to learn to live with this virus. We have got to practice social distancing and the protocols. That's why I think he will resort to some very strict implementations as such. I'm against the lockdown. The economy is booming right now and people need to live. In order to live, we need to work, So I'm against a lockdown. Doesn't make any sense anymore. We need to vaccinate. As children, we were all forced to vaccinate in order to go to school. Why is it such a political thing today? We've got a nation to care for. So I would advocate the vaccinations.
Parliamentarians will meet more than a month earlier than planned to debate the resolution to extend the current emergency orders that was anticipated to come to an end on Friday. Eleanor Riley says the health of the nation is the wealth of the nation, and she's all for a lockdown.
I think he is going to, like he said, extend a curfew, and I believe he's going to bring us on a lockdown also. We need this to really be taken under control. It really needs to be before it get out of hand. The health of a nation is the wealth of a nation.
The state of emergency has been a tool to mitigate the spread of the virus in the country. While some thinks it's unconstitutional, others say they need to hear a plan. I'm Laurencia Smith for Jcn News.
An early morning blaze killing a woman and her niece and nephew leaves the community of Cocoa Plum Avenue reeling today. A tragic start to the week for those residents off East Street after an inferno destroyed their home and claimed their young lives. It was early Sunday morning, sometime around 5:50 a.m., that the Royal Bahamas Police Fire Department received calls of a reported building fire. Police Fire Chief Superintendent Kenrick Morris was on the scene to give reporters more details.
As a result of this information received, the fire department responded with 2 fire appliances. Some 6 minutes later, the first unit arrived on the scene, where they met apartment number 2, which is a single-story 5-room stone structure engulfed with flames. The fire was quickly extinguished, however the same was destroyed by fire. Upon completion of extinguishing the fire, a search was conducted, where partially charred remains of 3 bodies were found. Inquiries are ongoing.
Now, the fire chief was unable to give details on the victims, but JCN's news team was able to identify them as Louise May Thullismund, 11-year-old Ronisha Perriette, and 7-year-old Taylor Louise Saint. Wishing to remain anonymous, a neighbor tearfully explained what happened during the early morning. According to the neighbor, the family had only moved in just 5 months ago and were new to the community. While the fire is still under investigation, Superintendent Kenrick Morris urges the public to be more careful and advises to put smoke detectors and fire extinguishers in every home to prevent such tragedies from happening. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.